You're listening to Free Radio Revolution. The revolution begins now.
Hi there everyone, Jeff C. here. Tonight it is very late on October the 17th, Thursday, and we got a big story coming out of Canada here, particularly New Brunswick, the town of Rexton. There's been a ongoing protest with regards to fracking. Yes, good old fracking, always fracking things up. And today it kind of exploded as a battle between protesters and RCMP, Royal Canadian Mounted Police. Here off of CBC News, Native protesters against shale gas fracking in Rexton, New Brunswick have dispersed after a day of clashes with RCMPs who moved in to enforce an injunction against the blockade, prompting a violent reaction in which 5 RCMP vehicles were burned and 40 people were arrested.
People at the site of a protest in the eastern part of the province. They moved in to end a blockade that's been going on for weeks. Protesters are concerned an energy company wants to extract shale gas using the controversial method of fracking. The CBC's Tori Weldon is there and has the latest.
I'm just outside of Rexton on Highway 134, just on the east side of the blockade. Now, here there are 40 to 50 RCMPs, Ambulance New Brunswick here, and there are a number of tow trucks also. There's just the feeling of people just waiting for something to happen. Now, back at the protest site, the RCMP remained in a line formation, and they've been that way since earlier in the day when a group of protesters tried to break through the police line. Now, the RCMP fired pepper spray into the crowd and also what's thought to be rubber bullets. It was chaos. Those who were sprayed were being helped away from the crowd. They were stopping to pour water into their eyes, and then they were met with, on the far side, burning police cars, where 6 cars were burned. Now, things have calmed down a lot now, but there still are a number of protesters at the site, and there still is just a feeling of things just waiting to happen.
Stay back! Hey, can you don't point at my mom?
In camouflage, it's quite a belligerent sort of position for the RCMP to take. Here is a video from Can Awareness, and I'll put the link below for this. Let's listen.
There's been an anti-fracking protest, a blockade going on for the last couple of weeks in a small community out in New Brunswick. And now this morning the RCMP rolled in to enforce a court-filed injunction against the blockade. Now the only problem is the RCMP came out in their true paramilitary colors. They came out in full military gear, assault rifles, snipers set up. It was a full military takeover of that area.
As you can see there, quite a belligerent pose by the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. Now I want to show you this. This is very important. Here off the CTV News. Let's listen into the politicians in New Brunswick explaining
in the nearby town of Rexton were in lockdown for much of the day. The reaction to what's been going on there today ranges from amazement to absolute shock and perhaps even some anger. And today, the reaction is only just beginning. CTV's Jonathan McGuinness has more.
Oh, you fuck off! It's a camera! It's a camera! Get your gun off me!
As tensions escalated in Rexton, political leaders weighed in on the ongoing violence.
I want to begin by saying today's events are certainly very troubling. In no way can we as a country of laws condone the breaking of laws and violence.
Speaking at a funding announcement in Moncton, Premier David Alward said he found out this morning about the police action to break a shale gas blockade and that it was the RCMP's decision to move in.
That is a decision of the RCMP, and I fully support the work that the RCMP do to ensure that the laws of New Brunswick are protected.
Opposition leader Brian Gallant's constituency is in the center of this protest. He says he was unable to access his office this morning in Rexton.
I asked all the protesters to respect the injunction. Obviously, if they can vacate and make sure that the law is followed, we hope that they'll be able to have a peaceful resolution.
As for the reason the protesters are there, Premier Alward says their actions will not put an end to shale gas exploration in the province.
We believe in the responsible development of our natural resources. The company has been following the regulations of New Brunswick.
Gallant believes the province should have been more open to hearing the concerns people had about the shale gas industry.
I do believe on the whole file of shale gas that people do feel like they weren't listened to and they do feel like there wasn't consultation. Now that doesn't merit breaking the law and not following injunction.
Premier Alward hopes the volatile situation in Rexton will soon come to an end without serious injury. People at the scene tell CTV Swin's exploration trucks have been moved out of their compound. Not sure if or when they will return. And Steve, as we speak, there is word these blockades are spreading across New Brunswick. The RCMP are using social media to report blockades now in Kings Clear First Nation as well as in Perth Andover. And Steve, they're of course advising motorists to expect delays in those areas. Steve?
Yeah, so fracking, eh? I'm sure many people have heard about this process, which is extremely damaging to the environment. There are so many things that go wrong. There are so many chemicals that are released. But of course, if you listen to the politicians, they'll tell you it's all wonderful and that they respect all the protests and that they're working hard to make sure that there are no side effects. Let's get it clear. So hydraulic fracking, right, just for those who are unaware, basically you got a process where you're drilling and you're injecting fluid into the ground at high pressure, right, in order to fracture the shale rocks. Now, and if we look at North American oil supply, even particularly in the United States, there is an enormous amount of oil in fracking, and it is really the new frontier for the oil companies. There is so much money for them to be making in this process, and that is why you're seeing it just erupt right across North America, across the world, but especially in North America, where we love to fuck up things first, right? We're talking about 500,000 fracking sites in the United States alone, right? It is just crazy. It's just crazy. And each site requires about 8 million gallons of water, right, in order to do the fracking process. And only about 600 chemicals are released when this thing is going on. Fracking fluid includes carcinogens and toxins, things like uranium, mercury, ethylene, glycol, radium, methanol, hydrochloric acid, and wonderful formaldehyde. During fracking, methane gas and toxic chemicals leach out from the system and contaminate nearby water. In fact, that's one of the biggest things about fracking is the effect that it has on water. And of course, Without water, what are we going to do, right? It is our most precious resource. Methane concentrations are 17 times higher near fracking sites than in normal areas. There are over 1,000 documented cases of fracking water contamination, as well as unbelievable numerous reports regarding sensory, respiratory, and neurological damage due to the ingested contaminated water. So I mean, you see these burning cars here, and you see the headlines: 5 police cruisers torched, 40 protesters arrested as native anti-fracking rally turns violent. But then, of course, showing the videos there, you see the RCMP showing up in full camouflage gear and pointing semi-automatic, automatic weapons, sniper rifles at the crowd of protesters, which I've shown is mostly native, peaceful people banging on their drums and waving their feathers. These people have been fucked over time and time again by our country, by United States, treaties, broken, all kinds of things that were promised that they never got. This is one of the big reasons why we had the big protests going across Canada this summer. Idle No More protests, right, where the native people were just not going to sit and take it up the ass from Stephen Harper and his corporatocracy in Canada. You know that only 30 to 50% of fracturing fluid is actually recovered. The rest is just left in the ground and is not at all biodegradable. It's just, hey, it's there, it's toxic, it's just going to hang out in your town. And hey, you don't mind, you're going to breathe it in, right? It's good for you. And to top it off, on top of that, waste fluid is left in the open air. They leave it in pits, right? So you can breathe it in. And it releases all this volatile organic compounds, which they call VOCs, right, into the atmosphere, creating contaminated air, acid rain, and ground level ozone. Just like we need more ozone, right? It is absolutely unbelievable, and this is how our media, Canadian media, is portraying the thing. We're talking about violence, protesters turned violent, right? That's what you're reading if you're reading the National Post or the Grope and Fail. The first thing they say, at least 5 police vehicles set on fire. At least 40 people have been arrested as it turned violent. Right away, these crazy people, what are they doing? Molotov cocktails. Oh my God, how dare they? How dare they? They actually damaged police cruisers. Can you believe that? Forget about what these fracking companies are doing to communities throughout North America that's going on in these beautiful, beautiful regions like New Brunswick, right, which are sparsely populated, right, but contain lots of native groups. And, all they want to do is make sure that their health of their children, their safety, their future is ensured and not fracked, right? Not fucking fracked. And they are portrayed as terrorists, basically, by the mainstream media. RCMP Constable Julie Rajmar said at least 5 RCMP vehicles were destroyed after they set ablaze. And at least 1 shot was fired by someone other than the police officer at the site of the protest. Yeah, where's your proof of that, right? Probably just a police officer. Anyways, this is the shit that's going on in Canada. This will probably fade away really quickly, and it's really unfortunate. So I hope people stand up and support. I hope this goes right across the country, and it joins Idle No More, and it's like, look, we're not going to take this anymore. We're just not going to take it. All right? Enough of this fucking New World Order. Leave your comments below.